The Alabama Farmers Federation and the Alabama Farmers Cooperative proudly present Simply Southern with your hosts Jim Allen and Mary Johnson.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to Simply Southern. I'm Jim Allen.
And I'm Mary Johnson. Coming up on today's show, drinking and driving and texting and driving. We'll spotlight a program that is showing young people just how dangerous each of those activities can be. Plus, wild hogs. Many people think they're fun to hunt, but they cost farmers millions of dollars in crop damage each year. And we'll take a tour of the Bonnie Plants Garden at their Union Springs headquarters. This is where the vegetable experts gain the knowledge they pass along to the rest of us to grow successful gardens.
But first, come along on an experience I'll never forget. The day I was apprehended by a trained police dog.
What one thing can you say about your local quality co-op store? You can trust us. You get what you need for your farm, for your lawn and garden, and the safest products for your pets. We're locally owned and operated, and you can trust that we care about our community and the people in it. So if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, the Quality Co-op Store has exactly what you need to get the job done. All this plus friendly, knowledgeable advice. Your Quality Co-op Store. There's one near you.
The blessing of Alabama agriculture is more than 3 meals a day. It means independence from foreign nations, freedom to pursue other jobs and activities, conservation of natural resources, and preservation of family values. For 93 years, the Alabama Farmers Federation has brought together the men and women whose work fills our plates and fuels the American dream.
Look, don't get me wrong, I love to rock my 4-inch heels, but do you know what I really love? Beef. When I watch a Western, I'm not watching the cowboys, I'm watching the cows. T-bone, filet, New York strip, and it's gotta be choice Angus beef. And there's nobody that does beef better than the beef people at Winn-Dixie, the original beef people. Hey, I'm beef people. Are you?
Winn-Dixie, home of the beef people.
Ugh, we're gonna need an electrician.
Rita and Mike were replacing a built-in microwave.
Don't scratch the stove.
Okay.
All right, let's go get something to eat.
Smart and beautiful.
When Rita called, she said, "You're not gonna believe what happened." I said, "Rita, because we had your regular Alpha policy review, your damage is covered."
Glad we left the insurance to a pro.
Good call.
For service and savings, call Alpha.
Well, we didn't scratch the stove.
The working dog is a familiar figure in law enforcement, often celebrated for heroic acts in the line of duty. The increasing threat of terrorism at home and abroad has expanded the role and need for man's best friend. This week, we'll visit a world-renowned organization that prepares these animals to protect and serve and experience firsthand what separates them from the pack. The dog doesn't immediately spring to mind in the fight against terrorism, but our loyal four-legged companions increasingly play a role as vital as any tank, ship, or plane.
I first got my start out in K9 when I was in the United States Marine Corps as a military working dog handler. I was able to handle a dog in Iraq and Afghanistan. The type of dog that I used is what was called a specialized search dog, meaning it hunted out improvised exploding devices. While I was there, I had multiple finds of these devices. I like to say we saved hundreds of lives of U.S. forces.
Occupying 320 acres at the now-closed Fort McClellan military base in Anniston, Alabama, AMK9 Academy is the largest facility of its kind in the nation.
We have a 180 kennel system here, spread out over 320 acres of facility. And at any given time, we can have between 140 and 150 working dogs through all disciplines of working dogs, from tracker dogs to patrol dogs, explosive detection dogs, narcotics dogs, dual-purpose dogs, and even our creme de la creme vaporwake canines as well.
Programs at the Academy prepare these dogs, handlers, and trainers as well for a variety of roles, from domestic law enforcement to the fight against terrorism at home and overseas.
And we produce between 200 to 400 canines a year for the working dog community. We had, just in 2014 alone, we had some 24 different agencies come through this academy. So law enforcement officers, military, special forces, ranger regiments and so forth as well. These vaporweight dogs are actually at the cut in front against terrorism now, and body-worn explosives. These dogs can actually detect body-worn explosives hidden on a person as they transit through an area to an event.
To get a better perspective on some of the work that goes on at AMK9 Academy, the instructors allowed me to suit up for some apprehension drills in the role of the decoy.
Our suits, the thickness can vary from what we call a training suit all the way down to a competition suit. And what changes in it is the thickness of the suit, which will give the dog a different type of sensation each time it bites down.
The one that I'm going to wear is which one?
The one that you're going to wear is the thickest level training suit that we have.
My gosh!
The biggest thing is when the dog does hit you from behind, to go down gracefully as possible with the dog, immediately try to stand up while maintaining the movement to keep the dog on you. When the dog initially bites down on you, you want to keep some side-to-side movement, basically like a prey trying to escape from the dog, and that will make him just bite down and hold even harder.
And if he does get to flesh, what do I do?
I tell you what, if he gets to flesh, I'll hear it in your voice, I'll hear the screaming start to happen, and I also need to hear you say live bite.
There you go, let him know it hurts.
Oh,
yeah.
You're killing me, you're killing me.
Good boy.
Exercises like these are a small part of the work at the Academy. From acclimating these dogs to the sound of combat, pairing them with their handlers, and even demobilizing them back to civilian life when their working days are past, AMK9 Academy is a vital security partner Alabama can be proud to call neighbor.
Our motto is basically that we come to work every day and we make the world a safer place.
Paul Hammonds told us that in addition to training these dogs, they have had success finding homes for them after their working days are over, adopting out over 100 canines since early 2014.
Jim, I can't believe that you got in that suit and allowed that dog to attack you.
Well, you can't hear it on the film, but I was squealing like a little girl, let me tell you what.
Yeah, an experience for sure.
Coming up next, everyone knows driving and drinking is dangerous. But a group of students recently found out in a unique way that texting behind the wheel can be just as deadly.
And later, see how the folks at Bonnie Plants can help you grow the garden you've always dreamed of.
Alabama soybean farmers help fuel the state's economy. Soybeans are used to make clean, renewable biodiesel and are a key ingredient in feed for poultry, catfish, and livestock. Soybeans are used in dozens of products we use every day. But best of all, soybean farmers generate $258 million and more than 4,000 jobs for Alabama's economy, all while helping conserve our natural resources. Explore the power of soy. Brought to you by the Alabama Beef Checkoff Program. Fire up the grills. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Support healthy food from local farmers by purchasing a Farming Feeds Alabama license plate. The tag funds education and promotion efforts, including Ag in the Classroom, agricultural scholarships, and youth programs. Get your Ag tag today.
Alabama wheat and feed grain farmers grow food, fuel, and freedom. Their harvest helps feed Alabama's multi-million-dollar livestock, catfish, and poultry industries while reducing America's dependence on foreign countries for energy and food. By combining their strength with farmers of other commodities, feed grain growers are fueling the economic growth of Alabama communities.
Today's farming operation is more complex than ever before, with precision agriculture becoming an integral piece to farm management. AccuField provides precision agriculture technologies and site-specific management capabilities in a simplified and interactive format, helping you put all the pieces of the farming puzzle together. For more information, visit us at www.accufield.com.
Passing the test to earn a driver's license is a gateway to a new world of independence for young adults. and a world of worry for their parents. Operating a vehicle exposes drivers to numerous risks. Sometimes the biggest danger is the person behind the wheel. Samantha Carpenter visits a high school in South Alabama as an innovative program offers these future drivers a different point of view on responsibilities that come with the card.
Driving under the influence of alcohol and while texting are two of the leading causes of vehicular fatalities in the nation. In South Alabama, the Baldwin County Farmers Federation is partnering with area schools in a program called Fatal Vision, designed to give students an idea of the dangers of impaired driving in a direct and memorable way.
We try to make things as realistic as possible, but we have some limitations, okay? Alcohol is going to mess with your brain, it's going to mess with your eyes. All we did is take a pair of goggles and blur your vision.
Under supervised conditions, students drive a small utility vehicle through a course lined by traffic cones, wearing special goggles designed to simulate the vision of someone who is drunk. Cones that are struck by the vehicle are tallied up, leaving students completing the exercise a concrete idea of the effect blurred vision has had on their driving.
I think if I was actually out on the road, I would probably kill other people and myself because it was really bad.
Are you ready?
I knocked over 16 cones in the drunk driving and 29 cones in the texting and driving. I was surprised at my results, and generally the students are surprised at theirs as well.
Just their reaction that I get from them, they're just like, oh gosh, this is worse than what I thought when they first put the goggles on. I just don't think they had any idea how bad it really is.
Students also take turns running a marked route wearing the goggles, which can prove a challenge with crippled perception. But often the most eye-opening element of the program takes place as drivers trade their goggles for their smartphone keyboard, texting short responses to prompted questions from a supervisor. The numbers of cones hit while texting often surpass the totals while wearing goggles, a sobering consideration for such a commonplace activity.
It surprised me how bad they are texting and driving, because our kids text and drive, I mean, from time to time I'm sure they do, and they're so technology savvy, but you know, the numbers compared to the texting and driving and drinking and driving, it really surprised me how much higher the texting and driver numbers were.
This is the 5th year for the program, which started in 2010. Held in the spring and fall, high schools across 3 counties currently participate in Fatal Vision, which equals quite a bit of exposure for new and future young drivers in South Alabama.
We do all the schools and all the public schools in Baldwin County, Escambia County, and Monroe County. So we're probably, before this year started, we had about 9,200 kids that had gone through the program, and that's not counting any this year.
As these young people test for their driver's license, they'll learn the rules of the road. Most have heard the stories and warnings of driving distracted and under the influence of alcohol. Fatal Vision allows a personal and hands-on example that often registers in a way paper and lectures can't quite match.
It really does put it in your head that you think you can do it until you go and actually try it and do really bad.
It's taught me not to drink and drive and to not text and drive, just to focus on the road and not get distracted.
Most kids, when you're in high school, you feel like you can do anything, you're invincible, and once they get behind the wheel and they see the dangers of the texting and driving and the drinking and driving, hopefully it makes them think twice, and then on Friday and Saturday night, they don't make a fatal decision.
Everybody knows somebody that's lost a family member or a loved one or a friend or somebody, and you know, we can only do so much. There's only certain things we can do with the kids, but hopefully it'll make a difference in their life. It'll make them stop and think. If it saves one life, then hey, it's been worth it.
For Simply Southern, I'm Samantha Carpenter.
The dangers of driving while intoxicated have been well documented, but recent estimates actually put teenage deaths caused by texting while driving even higher. So now, Jim, hopefully programs like Fatal Vision can change perspectives for the better.
You know, the kids looked like they were having a good time, but I'm sure they learned a valuable lesson.
Yes, very valuable. When we return, one of the biggest pests for farmers in the South is not an insect. In fact, it's hundreds of pounds larger. Feral hogs. What they do to farmland and what can be done about them next on Simply Southern.
Alabama wheat and feed grain farmers grow food, fuel, and freedom. Their harvest helps feed Alabama's multi-million-dollar livestock, catfish, and poultry industries while reducing America's dependence on foreign countries for energy and food. By combining their strength with farmers of other commodities, feed grain growers are fueling the economic growth of Alabama communities.
Today's farming operation is more complex than ever before, with precision agriculture becoming an integral piece to farm management. AccuField provides precision agriculture technologies and site-specific management capabilities in a simplified and interactive format, helping you put all the pieces of the farming puzzle together. For more information, visit us at www.accufield.com.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
For nearly 50 years, the electric cooperatives of Alabama have been giving young people an opportunity to visit our nation's capital, where they learn about the value of electric cooperatives and the importance of grassroots advocacy. Top students join with thousands of others touring monuments, landmarks, and meeting with their congressional delegation. The Rural Electric Youth Tour program. Just one more way the electric cooperatives of Alabama are investing in the future of our state.
Alabama soybean farmers help fuel the state's economy. Soybeans are used to make clean, renewable biodiesel and are a key ingredient in feed for poultry, catfish, and livestock. Soybeans are used in dozens of products we use every day. But best of all, soybean farmers generate $258 million and more than 4,000 jobs for Alabama's economy, all while helping conserve our natural resources. Explore the power of soy.
Too much rain, not enough rain, disease, insects, these all can be problems for farmers. But one problem that is man-made is the invasion of feral hogs. First released in the southeast for hunting, the population has exploded. As Kevin Worthington reports, these pests can destroy months of hard work almost overnight.
Steve Guy knows firsthand how devastating feral hogs can be. A familiar and growing problem for farmers throughout the state. These pests can cause a significant amount of damage to crops and land in a very short period of time. In Steve's case, hundreds of acres of newly planted longleaf pine were destroyed practically overnight.
We put about approximately 600 trees to the acre out here. I've got some places where I might have 50% survival. I have some places where I have 0 trees left. And the total cost on this was right around $80,000 to spray it and burn it and all of the planting. So to come in right now and replant, just to plant the trees would probably cost me about $40,000. So at a minimum, I've lost that.
Estimates place damage caused by feral hogs upwards of $1 billion nationwide. Besides crop damage, these animals create a multitude of issues for landowners and managers.
I was going to plant chufa for turkeys on it. I can't do that because the hogs will dig it up and eat it. So from that standpoint, for enhancing and doing things for wildlife out here, I'm very limited right now as to what I can do, because the hogs will eat or tear up just about anything I put out here.
Feral hogs are a species that is not native to North America. It's believed they were brought to this country from Europe for hunting, quickly interbreeding with domestic animals and spreading throughout the country. Rod Pinkston is the CEO and founder of JagerPro, a Georgia company specializing in the capture and removal of wild hogs.
Well, I think the biggest problem is that everybody wants to treat a pig like a game animal. I think first we have to redefine what a pig is.
Pinkston sees the popularity of hog hunting as a driving factor behind the spread of the animals. Unlike other wild game, hogs can birth multiple litters in a single year, which can rapidly become a problem to neighboring property.
The sport of hunting pigs is growing. I think an important part, it doesn't matter how efficient you are at removing the pigs if we don't first stop people from illegally moving pigs around. Need to pass legislation to stop pig hunting, because when there is the incentive to start new populations, then that's kind of counterproductive to what we're trying to do.
Traditionally, trapping and hunting have been the most common method to deal with feral hog populations. Although Pinkston's company employs similar tools, he stresses any solution will require a strategic, collective effort.
A lot of times when farmers call me and say, what is it going to take for us to come solve his problem on his land? We really discourage that. We don't want to charge a farmer to come and solve the problem on just his land. It's like putting me in an apartment with a termite problem and only giving me apartment 2B. I need access to the whole entire apartment to actually solve this problem. And if farmers aren't working with their neighbors and everybody's on the same management program, then all that farmer is going to do is going to temporarily solve the problem on his property, and then he's going to be dealing with all the pigs that are migrating in from the surrounding property. So again, the true solution to this problem is not only just getting it solved on your property, you got to get all of your neighbors in on the same page too.
For Simply Southern, I'm Kevin Worthington.
Researchers are looking at a variety of different ways to manage wild hogs, but at this point, only hunting and trapping have much viability for controlling the population.
And a lot of that, I mean, it's just because a couple of pigs can become hundreds in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do to farmland.
Mm-hmm.
After the break, Sid Phelps will take us on a tour of the Bonnie Plants Test Garden in Union Springs, where they do the research that makes our gardens grow.
This seems unbelievable, but I promise it's true.
What's with the buzzing? Oh, that's a raven. That's a good omen. He knows we're coming back with dinner.
Well, that bird had a bunch of friends. And when Scott got back to the camper...
Well, that was a bust. What? Scott! Wait, what did you do? It's raining inside.
His new camper was a total loss, but his Alpha policy covered it.
It's that bird.
For service and savings, call Alpha.
Making sure you're covered?
Good call.
It's been said, without hard work, nothing grows but weeds. This is certainly true in agriculture. At the Alabama Farmers Federation, we know success is not born of fancy words, grand ideas, or good intentions. It's a result of wise planning, bold leadership, dedicated work, and blessings from above.
Support healthy food from local farmers by purchasing a Farming Feeds Alabama license plate. The tag funds education and promotion efforts, including Ag in the Classroom, agricultural scholarships, and youth programs. Get your Ag tag today.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed. Because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Hey folks, Sid Phelps here with Bonnie Plants. Today I'm at Union Springs at our trial garden, and as you can see, we have got a ton of different varieties of plants, from tomatoes to peppers to squash to corn, everything you can imagine, as well as some of our test items. And that's the beauty of the trial garden, is we get to test all these different varieties to find out if they're good enough to become a Bonnie variety. Now, you get to go through our mobile app or our website and you see the new varieties that we list. Well, let me explain how those varieties get there. They start all in this process just as this tomato is here today. We put it in a pot. We're going to grow it for its time period. We're going to monitor all of the yields that we come off of this one plant. We're going to monitor how its habitat is in a container. We're going to monitor its habitat in a raised bed. And we're going to measure all these different aspects together to find out if it's going to be a performer for you in your garden. Now, as you can see, this one's doing really good. It's got a really abundant amount of tomatoes on it, but some of them, well, they don't quite make the cut. And we can show you some of those a little bit later on. The thing about this trial garden is we really get to show all of the varieties and even new varieties in different aspects. For example, growing corn in raised beds versus in the ground regular row crop. From cucumbers to sweet potatoes, different methods of growing them to see if it's going to fail or if it's going to be absolutely a new way and new trend in how to garden certain varieties. So with that, I want to show you some of the different aspects we've taken on traditional crops in unique bed configurations. So let's go take a look at some of these new ideas. Now, summer crops, or seed crops, or vine crop as they're probably the best known, work great in the ground. That's how we're traditionally used to seeing those grow. With the trial garden, we get to put a twist on things, and as you can see, we've tried some of these vine crops here in raised beds. Now, lemon cucumber, here in the far back, works great on a trellis because that lemon cucumber makes a baseball-sized cucumber. So you can really easily go up to that trellis, pull the cucumber off as it drops off, and you have that. Well, we have squash. Sometimes you really need to take attention to what you've got. For example, this type of squash is a runner. And as you can see, it's already out to my feet. So if you've got a raised bed concept for squash, this may not be the best option. However, your traditional crookneck or straight neck bush style squashes or bush style zucchinis work great in a bed like this. You can have everything in one place and it's going to grow nicely. Well, let's think about this outside of the box a little bit more. Peas, for example. Peas can go great into the bed. You can come right into it and pick them. You can move from there into all different other things. Okras, corn. Now, corn's going to be a little bit difficult. You're going to need a lot in one area to move around. But with that being said, not everything works. For example, the products that we had here just got really out of control, so we had to pull those up and move along. For examples of these beds, you can go to our website at bonnieplants.com or Homegrown with Bonnie Plants on your mobile app and check out all the different things that you can try in your garden.
You know, Mary, it's good that the folks at Bonnie do all that research before we buy the plants.
It really is, because they learn what doesn't work, and then that makes it a lot easier for us.
Sure does.
And for more information on how to make your backyard garden successful, visit bonnieplants.com.
You can also find out more about the stories we featured today by visiting their individual websites.
For an overview of the largest working dog training facility in the U.S., visit amk9academy.com. And for more on the damage caused by feral hogs, as well as current control methods, click on jaegerpro.com.
And of course, for the latest information on what's happening behind the scenes here at Simply Southern, be sure to like our Facebook page. Coming up next week, dust off your hat and boots as we take a trip to the rodeo.
And we'll feature a program that's turning out not just great musicians, but in all likelihood, the leaders of tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Simply Southern. I'm Jim Allen.
And I'm Mary Johnson. We hope to see you again next week.
Simply Southern is a production of the Alabama Farmers Cooperative and the Alabama Farmers Federation.